For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, 30 minutes of time-wasting fun, and hopefully this week, some thought-provoking dialogue. Fingers crossed, folks. Fingers crossed. Anyway, I'm going to talk about politicians. Now, before you even jump on me and go, oh, it's going to be a Trump-bashing show. First of all, Canadian, so whatever. Secondly, I've never in my entire life campaigned for a politician, never had one of those yard signs. I've never even gone on social media and said, vote for so-and-so, or I've never done that. So I'm putting that right out there at the start of the show. I'm not bashing Trump. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Biden did this. I'm not doing it. It's an observation as a citizen, a voter, a taxpayer. That's where my perspective is coming from this week, all right? So, I've got some observations about politicians, and it starts on the Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on The Scribble. All right, so diving into politics. Now, again, this isn't a big... Here's the thing. I've noticed that there are so many big words. Filibuster, gerrymander, gubernatorial, or whatever the word is. And I sit there and go, why don't they just have regular words? Because, like, when I hear the word filibuster, the way it's used a lot of time just means like stalling, like, filling time and just kind of rambling and stalling and wasting time. Like filibuster just means, not answering or not getting something done. But again, is that what it means? I don't know, right? Gerrymander, I'm like, sounds like it's something that you would put gas into or something, right? Like a jerry can. I don't know what all these words mean. It's just kind of strange. So these people who just seem like they're fucking dopes have the biggest words possible, right? So that's one thing. But anyway, back in the day when a politician would do something wrong, there would be a resignation, right? I mean, you see that now where people are always calling for the resignation of so-and-so, but instead people stay on in their role as an elected official just to either stubbornly do it, right? To thumb their nose at the critics who are saying for them to leave. But I guess I just kind of don't know where the people lost the power. Because you always see these things with Trump anyway, and the executive order or he does this, and then you watch cable news, or you have other politicians coming forward and going, well, that's illegal. He doesn't have the authority. He can't do that. But he did it, though. So can he or can't he? Like, that's, I get. Now, again, because I don't know the rules, I don't know. But I mean, I hear a lawyer on CNN saying that he can't do it, and then I hear politicians saying that he cannot do it, and then I hear his supporters saying that he can do it, and then he did it because he signed the executive order in the office, and I'm just kind of sitting there going, like, I don't know what's real or right then. So who outnumbers whom? And then secondly, what's the law on the book? Because if the lawyer is the one saying he can't do it, or the constitutional lawyer, or the scholar, or the presidential historian, whoever it is, right? You've seen the shows, you know the people that they bring on. I don't get it then. Okay, so you're saying confidently he cannot do it. Whether that's sending in ICE or sending in the National Guard or, all these things that he did over the summer and I guess continues to do now, he's still doing it. So, the courts will then go and say, right, because it'll go up, right? It'll be challenged in court, and then so the court will rule, I don't know if it's the Supreme Court or whatever it is, will rule and go and say, well, it was unconstitutional for him to do it. Okay, great. So now what? Like, who decides now? Because from what I gather, just when I've seen things in the news, he'll thumb his nose at it and go, well, nothing's going to change. So, whatever. Right? Earlier in this, or I guess when did the whole Kimmel thing happen? In September, right? It was already September. That this can't be done, or the FCC can't do this. They don't have the authority to revoke ABC. ABC doesn't have licenses. It's the local stations that do. ABC is a network. Like, it's not the same thing. And so, I know that because I'm in the business, right? I've been in broadcasting media for over 20 years, so I know those types of things. But the general public is like, oh my God, ABC's license can be revoked. ABC doesn't have a license. That's not how it works. So you've got a president saying, to revoke their licenses, but then it's like, but they don't have that. So what exactly is he wanting revoked? Now, again, you could say that it's the phrasing of it, or yes, the local station in Denver is an ABC affiliate or whatever. Okay, they can have that because they're an actual station, they're an actual broadcaster. But the big network ABC, they don't have a license to revoke. Like, it's not even something that can happen. So, but you kind of look at that and go, but wait a second. So he's saying that he'll get them shut down. Meanwhile, a president doesn't have the authority to do it. But then the networks, CBS or whoever, are caving and paying him money. So then I'm like, but that doesn't make, like, what are they paying him for? It's hush money, or as Colbert said before he was fired, it's, bribe. And so it doesn't make sense to me when you go and say the person can't do it, but then he did it. And then what he did remains in place, even though the court goes and says he can't do it. It almost just seems like things end there. Right? I mean, I know that a sitting president can't be, charged or arrested or whatever. I know that. So I'm not saying that he should be, arrested or locked up right now. Give it 3 years and then make that choice. But that's what I don't get. And so, the same thing happened in Canada, back in the day when the pandemic was happening and the protests were happening in Ottawa with the truckers. I don't know if you guys remember. The Americans listening might. Actually, it did make news in the U.S. So you had, the trucker rally that was kind of blocking streets in Ottawa at the at the Parliament building. And, then the Prime Minister at the time, Justin Trudeau, was basically taking these extreme measures. He, it was the Emergency Act all of a sudden, and most Canadians had never heard of this before, and suddenly, now it's like, well, we can freeze bank accounts, and we can do all these things, and all these measures are in place. And then on the other opposing parties, right, because in Canada, it's not just it's not Democratic and Republican. It's, Liberal and Progressive Conservative and New Democratic. And so there's other parties in play here. So the ones that objected to Trudeau doing this are going and saying, that's unconstitutional, or that's whatever the term is in Canada. He can't do that. That's against the law. So then he does it anyway. He invokes the act, and then it still takes months or weeks or whatever to play out in court if they do challenge it. But then there was a review after the fact. So already after this is over and he's used it and it's already affected people, then they do the review after, and then they're kind of looking at it going, well, was it warranted? Well, it's too late now. He's already fucking done it. They've already gone and, done all this shit. So we're gonna check the tape. They do the play-by-play after the fact. It's like critiquing the Super Bowl 3 weeks later. Does it matter at that point? It's a done deal. It's already happened. So you look at this and go, you have all these people saying he can't do it, and then you might even have a court saying he can't do it. I'm not saying specifically for Trudeau and the emergency. I'm saying whatever, in general. A court is ruling that the country's leader cannot do something. He did it anyway. So it's almost like a pissing contest of, well, then who has the authority? Who takes the next step and says, you can't do that, President, and so we're overturning it. But then, let's say it is sending in the troops or the National Guard or whatever. Well, does the National Guard leave, or do they just kind of stay there because they're not going to listen to the court? We've heard that with the Trump administration, right? That they're just not following the court order. We're just not going to do it. And then, because Trump would have the option to, pardon somebody who was charged with a federal crime, so then you kind of sit there and go, so is that why no action was taken? Is that why the court just said, no, he can't do it? So you would think then whoever is disobeying that order from the court would be arrested or whatever it was. Well, but the president can just come in and pardon the person anyway. So then there is no sense in, I don't know. Like I said earlier, when did the people lose the power? Now, again, you could go and say, well, the people are voted into office, so they can't necessarily, quote unquote, be fired. Maybe there is a rule in some places where it's like if 80 or 51% of the constituents who voted decide and go and say, you know what, we've got buyer's remorse. Actually, we've changed our mind based on the person's actions over the last 6 months or a year or 2 years, whatever it is. Can you force a re-election then and go and say, you know what, buddy, you're out. I know that your term isn't up yet, but you're out. You're out. We want you gone now. I think that might happen if there's enough people that maybe petition or lobby, and then there's the public pressure for that to happen, and the person goes and says, okay, I'm resigning. Now, case in point here, there's a woman, she's the representative at the provincial level in my hometown of Winnipeg, in Manitoba, my province, and her name is Nahanni Fontaine. Now, she's been in office for, I don't know, not quite 10 years, I guess. Years ago, I had emailed her asking for assistance with something. I had a question about a provincial program, and I kind of wanted clarity, just wanted to know some information. Now, keeping in mind that I've also been in the local media for over 20 some years anyway, so not that I do that whole, do you know who I am, or I'm Jeremy Bradley, you need to answer me. No, I'm a tax-paying citizen who you answer to, so it is your job to respond to people like me, especially if I'm asking something about, a provincial government or department or what have you. So I'd emailed her. I didn't hear back. I then tweeted her, because that sometimes will get you attention, right? And like I said, this is like 5 or 6, maybe 7 years ago. This was a while back. And so she never replied to emails. So I'm the type of person where I'll just keep sending the same email over and over again. So I'll do a reply all, so then it goes to her again. She'll see the original date of the first email, and then she doesn't reply again. Then I'll write another email. I'll put email 3, email 4, email 5, and I'll send her an email every 2 days, every 3 days or so. And then, because I'm in the media, I will go and say, can we get a media statement about why you're not responding to your constituents? That will usually work, by the way. It didn't with her. So then, because I was a newspaper columnist in a paper there at the time, I said, all right, well, I'm going to write a big blurb and go, look at this person. I'm asking, legit. And then we also, we tested her, actually. We ended up creating a bunch of fake Gmail addresses, and we tried different names because there's reports that she's Indigenous. And so there's reports that she doesn't like men. She specifically doesn't like white men. And so we decided to test this in our office, and we said, all right, let's make an account with an Indigenous sounding name. And so we did was it Beverly Desjardins or Desjardins or something, or we did something. And then we did another one where it would sound like an East Indian name. And then we did one that was, I think, just kind of general Italian, and we'd made it a woman. And so, same kind of a thing. We made up just a fake kind of, whatever it was. I just wanted to know about if is there a funding program for provincial, like a roof? Is there any provincial grants or something for upgrading? Because in Manitoba, your energy bill, your electric bill or whatever is through the province. So sometimes if it's depending on, upgrades for your house, they might have rebates or things. So, we had something about windows, or we had something about whatever. It's not necessarily something that she's responsible for, but because it is a provincial department, you would maybe expect her to go and say, I'll forward that to such and such and they'll get back to you. Or, hey, reach out to, this is the proper place to reach out. I would just think that that's what an elected official would do, but she did not respond to any of them. None of them. So I don't know if it was 3 or 4, but we had a few different accounts and we sent them at different times of the day, but all in the same day. And then she didn't respond to any of them. So then, earlier this year, there was a scandal. She's had a couple scandals. She was caught on tape basically saying that a sign language interpreter who was on stage with her at an event was distracting her, and then she said something about, like, I couldn't fucking see or whatever. And there's a camera basically, like, right on her. She was about to address the reporters in the room or at the event, and this camera happened to be recording her, and it heard her saying it. So, they kind of backpedal, and she goes and says, well, it was during a private moment. It's like, the cameras were getting set up. You were just about to talk to the reporters. Like, you can't, how can you go and say, it's almost like you're saying that there was like a secret camera, like you were being spied on or something. No, chick, it's a fucking TV camera. It's not like it's a tiny pinhole camera. It's like you're talking to my pen. No, it was a television camera. The news media is standing right there. Really. And when it's recording, there's a little red light. There's a red light on it. So unless they were covering it to try and trick you, So anyway, so she gets in trouble. Everybody's like calling her. She's the family's minister as well, too. So she was talking at an event of, I don't remember what it was. It was a graduation, I think, of nurses or something. And she was just like, oh, I didn't, the person was distracting and, flailing hands and, I couldn't see the audience and whatever. And so there was this big, look it up, Nahanni Fontaine Sign Language. You'll probably find it. So then fast forward a couple months and the Charlie Kirk assassination happens. So Nahanni, because Charlie Kirk, obviously, like I said, was a guy and he was white. She has this rant. And if you find her social media pages, you'll basically see that she's forever going on about chauvinism and, it's just, seriously, get it, You represent all of us. You can't just pick and choose and go, well, I'm only going to talk to Indigenous women or just women, period. And because you're a man, I don't like you. But here's the thing. The community votes are in. So, right? Now, we haven't had an election in Manitoba for a while, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Oh, no, we did have one last year, I think it was, wasn't it? And for a brief time, it looked like she was not... Oh, no, we had it a couple years ago. Yeah, I'm thinking of something else. So we'll see, though, because she has this... So anyway, so she says about Charlie Kirk that he was just this horrible person. He was a whatever words that she used. And she caught flack. And it actually made national headlines and international headlines because I happened to open up Twitter one day and somebody had taken a screenshot. Now, this was a guy in the States. This was a guy, an American. And he had taken a screenshot and I was just like, oh my God, that's my elected official. I knew the story. So it's not like I just found out then. But I just thought, wow, this is how widespread it is. Like, she's trending because of what she said about Charlie Kirk. Now, again, I'm not saying that it was right for him to be... That's not even the issue here. I'm just saying that she's an elected official in another country. She's in Canada. And she just goes on this big rant about how she's basically, like, glad that he's dead. So, tasteless or not, again, she's an elected official. So, you just kind of look at this and go, wow. So then, what happens is everybody goes and complains to the premier, which is, they say that's her boss. And I'm sitting there going... Well, no, we are her boss. The people, the constituents in that neighborhood that she represents, that, by the way, she doesn't even live in, and she apparently is barely ever in the office in the neighborhood. So why she represents that neighborhood, I don't know. So, it's like, well, the premier's gonna, he'll give her shit. It's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. But, well, I talked with her, and she's acknowledged, and she's apologized. It's like, okay, and now what, though? She's gonna do it again. She's going to do it again. So the whole thing, like I said, about her ignoring me, and so I did. I wrote a column about something. I don't remember what it was called, but it basically said something like, you work for us, don't ignore me, kind of a thing. And, she's also in the past, like she smeared one of her candidates during an election campaign by saying that the people are asking me when they can get the yard signs. Well, it's actually the law that you can't put them up yet. And one of my opponents has been breaking the law and putting them up. So I thought, I've, again, been in the media for a while. I said, I've never heard that rule, that there's a time limit. So I went and fact-checked it. Sure enough, she's wrong. But nobody called her out, right? Instead, her fans or her whatever, followers or supporters are going and saying, they're believing it. So I'm looking at that going, well, that's not true, because I heard it direct from the source. I heard it from Elections Manitoba. I went right to the people who control the elections, the ones who oversee them, the ones who run them, the ones who've made the rules. I said, here's the quote, here's her tweet. Look, you tell me. I'm not making this up. Here's the link to it. Go to her page. The tweet is there. Is she correct or is she wrong? Is this disinformation? And they come back and say there's no time, there's no set date that you have to wait until, 2 weeks before an election or a month before the election. No, that's not true. But again, she was just allowed to. She didn't apologize for it. She didn't retract it. It was just there. I don't know if it's still there now. Maybe, well, that was years ago. But again, it's just it went unchecked. She was allowed to say it. Elections Manitoba didn't do anything. I mean, whatever. And so I followed up with that, and I called her constituency office, and I said, I'd like to speak with her. I need a media comment. I'm doing another article. So the assistant was on the phone and said, oh, I'll pass it along. I said, no, I'd like to speak with her. It's not a, well, she'll choose to take it back to you if she wants. This is, no, she works for me. She needs to call me. And so the assistant was like, well, I'll pass it along. I said, when will I hear from her? That's what it's come down to. When will I hear from her? Because if you think about doing this at your own job, right? If your boss emails you and says, come see me, or calls you on your desk phone and is like, yeah, can you swing by? And then you just don't. Or you don't reply to any of your boss's emails. Ever. You don't reply to your boss. Are you going to keep that job? Probably not. Now, again, different situation because it's an entire neighborhood that's voting for her to work for us, right? So it's different. But still, but that's the thing, right? She can go unchecked because she doesn't have a boss. It's not like you're going to go and complain to her manager and get her fired because she's an elected official. The only thing that her leaving is, whether she commits a crime, I guess, maybe. But, to say that, well, you'll kick her out of the cabinet. It's like, so what does that mean, though? What does that mean? She's still going to work there. Until she resigns or until she's voted out, she's working there. Right? So that's just going back to what I said at the beginning is like when Trump does executive orders and whatever, and then you have these people, the courts or whatever say one thing, and then it just leaves you, the voter or the whoever you are, right? Citizen, taxpayer, the audience, whatever. Like it makes you want to say, somebody take control. So whoever the responsible or the person at the court, whoever the top judge or whatever is, do something. Say what the next action is. Just like when he did the Gulf of America or, goes and signs these things and people are like, no, he can't do that. So like, what's the point of this? Well, he did it. He signed something. What is that? So if it doesn't do anything, then why is it being reported then? Why did you have the cameras on it? If it's a non-thing, right? If it's a non-legal name change or whatever it is, he can't change the name of a body of water he doesn't own it. So he just goes and I didn't understand that even and I've been in the news business for, as I said, 20 some years. It didn't make sense to me. So you can go and say that he's operating unchecked or whatever it is, but if nobody's stopping him and he's just being allowed to get away with it, the thing with the Epstein, how long the Epstein files, that dragged out for months or years or whatever it is. One side says no. One side says we don't have them. The other side says you do have it. No, we don't have them. Yes, you do. No, we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Hey, it just... How will we ever know what the truth is about something, right? I'm not even talking about how, social media conspiracy theories or whatever. I'm talking like direct from the source, from the actual... If a court says you can't do it, then the court needs to dismantle what was done then. If it's their responsibility to go and say, no, you can't do it, all right, well, now what? You got the president saying, make me change it. Make me. It sounds like I'm doing the Roadrunner. Make me. I don't know. I just think back in the day, yeah, the person would have resigned and go and said, you know what? I screwed up. I'm out. Bye. They had that dignity, they had that, maturity, whatever word you want to use. They recognized it and was like, I'm not the best person to represent this neighborhood or whatever it is. I'm out. Now it's a stubbornness thing. Now it's like, well, I'll show you. For the people, oh no, I'm not going anywhere because you're telling me to go somewhere. That's what it is. Spit on you. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Tell me your thoughts. And the reason, what's funny is that I have, I've gone on 20 some minutes now. I'm not even somebody who is into politics. I'm not somebody who is, like I said, I've never worn a hat. I've never worn a sign. I've never gone to a rally. I've never done anything like that ever in my life. So this is not about being anti-Trump, not about anti-Nahanni Fontaine, not anything like that at all. I'm just saying, as somebody who doesn't really pay attention, like I already said, I don't know what the fuck gerrymander and gubernatorial and filibuster means. I don't even know what those fucking mean. I truly don't even know. When they say about the left or the right, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what it means. I don't know which side is which. I have no idea. So that's how little I know about. But I'm just saying, as like the average Joe Canadian, I mean, I'm sitting here going, why? I thought that we tell these people what to do. Like, that was kind of the whole deal, is I'm paying you. So why don't you listen? Why don't you talk to me? Like, why won't you? Okay. So, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I'll be back on the Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
JB here on the Scribble. Let me just go on to one more thing about politics, especially Canada versus United States. When I say versus, I just mean a comparison. I'm not saying a battle. Canadians really don't care about politics. When we do have a federal election in Canada, it's quick. It seems like an American election, you just voted the new president, and then all of a sudden, like, they're already campaigning, and then you got like the halfway point primaries and all these. Like, the Canadian election process is so simple, it's so fast, it's not 2 years of a campaign. It's not like, I don't, again, as an outsider to the US, I mean, we're in Los Angeles right now, but I don't see the interest. Like, I just don't see the fascination about politics. I don't get why you would want to be fired up 24/7, 365 days a year. As it is, Canadians, let's say the election, let's say it's happening on October 1st. So the campaign would generally start maybe mid-August, right? You'll kind of have the rumblings about who's running in the different neighborhoods. September, though, is kind of when things will, the commercials will start, the yard signs will come up, people will come knocking at your door in September. We're talking like 3 weeks out from the election, 2 weeks out from the election. Never would you have anything happening in February, March, April. It's not that soon. Because again, first of all, it's going to cost them a fortune, and there's just not that much money in the campaigns. They're much smaller scale. They're not as big. But the elections in the United States just seem like it's a lifestyle. Like it's a daily thing. I don't know that there's ever been a day in the last. I'm just trying to think of how, like, cable news used to be. Do you remember watching CNN back in the day? I was fascinated by it, especially as a journalism student. I was fascinated because the news would be about, a plane is making an emergency landing in New York. Let's watch live and see what happens. Or a boat is sinking off the coast of whatever. We've got cameras. Let's watch what happens. Oh, there's a building on fire in Denver. Let's go there and watch what happens. I don't know that you can go 5 minutes on a cable news channel without seeing or hearing something about politics. Really. Like, it's totally changed ever since. I don't really know when exactly it changed. Obviously, during the first Trump administration, it was hardcore. But I just remember thinking news was news. When I was doing the radio show, my syndicated radio show, we had Chris Cuomo on, and I wanted to talk about just news in general, just plain old news, being a broadcaster, reporting on news now. Every reference to news always came back to politics. And I almost wanted to say to him, we're just talking about news in general, but every response was politics. And I thought, this is a Canadian journalist talking to an American journalist. It's just such a difference. There's just such a difference. It's really kind of strange. So even if you think, let's say like a cable news show and most of them are commentary, right? Most of them, it's the panel of people debating the news. It's not about actual news reporting anymore. The first 5 minutes of the show is going to be something about politics. Even if there's a school shooting, politics somehow is going to be mentioned in the first 5 minutes. You just know that because gun control is going to come up. You're going to have, right? I mean, it's going to, some sort of angle of politics, whether it's a politician's statement, whether it's a policy in law, whether it's an amendment, whether it's whatever it is. Politics comes into play. That is not how Canadians are. So it's fascinating to see that, politics is a life. It's a lifestyle and it's a life for Americans. I don't know. I just would not have the energy. Like I said, I live in the United States right now, but I'm not an American. So for me, I mean, I don't know. It's exhausting to me even just to put on, one of the CNN primetime shows and just like at some point though, you just kind of get tired of it. Obviously, Americans are it's like a sport for them. That's maybe the better word. It's not a lifestyle. It's a sport. Everything's a battle. Everything's a clash. Everything is, there's no decorum anymore either. So it's just kind of weird, right? So anyway, again, send me your thoughts live at jbonair.com. We'll be back on the Scribble right after this.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble. We're out of time, but as always, I appreciate your attention for the past, what are we at, 31 minutes now. Feel free to give me a shout anytime, live at jbonair.com, LIVE at jbonair.com. I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.